Hello and welcome to another episode of Patent Pending Made Simple. I'm your host, Samar Shah, and with me is Jamie Brophy. Jamie, how are you?
Hey, Summer, I'm good. How are you?
I am doing all right. I do a lot of conferences and speaking engagements, and last week I was doing a roundtable. I was leading a discussion around patents, and I had this woman come up to me after the roundtable was over, and she was like, I just wanted to let you know that you have a very calming voice. And I'm usually pretty uncomfortable when I receive compliments. And I wasn't sure if it was a compliment to begin with, but I was like, thank you. And then she said, no, really, you have a very comforting voice. And I was like, now I really don't know if this is a compliment.
I have two thoughts on that, Summer. First of all, I think it takes practice, but you need to get better at taking compliments. And then, second of all, I don't know if it was a compliment or not. Maybe she's listening to it when she falls asleep or something.
Exactly. That's what I thought in my head. Is okay, I am helping you fall asleep. Happy to be of service.
Nice. So today we're talking about the difference between a patent attorney and a patent agent. And we did a previous episode about the resources that are available to inventors. And one of those resources is the list on the Patent Office website of patent practitioners. And that list includes attorneys and agents. So I thought maybe it'd be helpful to our listeners to discuss the difference between what an attorney can do and what an agent can do. So what do you think, Summer?
I think this is a good topic. I get that question asked all the time. People are like, are you a patent attorney or a patent agent? I'm a patent attorney, but I'm curious as to why you're asking.
Yeah.
I wonder, obviously there's a difference there, but I wonder how people come upon this distinction and why they care so much. So I am a little curious about that, but hopefully we'll dispel some of the myths around it, because I think some folks can be a little misinformed about the distinction. So yeah, hopefully this will be informative to everyone listening.
Yeah. So you're an attorney and I'm an agent. So I think we can give an informed discussion of this. When I was at the patent office a long time ago, it used to be that if you were at the patent office for a certain amount of time, I think it was 5 years, when you left the patent office, you would get a registration number. In other words, if you didn't have a law degree, if you hadn't been to law school and taken the bar, you'd get a registration number to practice before the USPTO and you would be a patent agent. But another way to get your registration number, which is the way I did it, is to take the patent bar exam. As you're aware, to be a patent attorney, to be an attorney, period, you have to take the bar exam in whatever state you want to practice in. To be a patent attorney, you also have to take the bar exam that is administered by the USPTO. So I haven't been to law school. I haven't taken a state bar exam, but I did take the bar exam that's administered by the USPTO. So that's how I got my registration number.
I think that's a really good encapsulation of it. And I actually didn't know that in the past you could just be at the patent office for 5 years and be a registered patent agent. That's really interesting. But yeah, that's right. A patent attorney can practice in other areas of the law, right? As long as they're certified by the state bar that they operate in. Additionally, a patent attorney has taken the bar exam, just like a patent agent has. So you and I, Jamie, took the same exam, probably roughly the same exam, and we were deemed qualified enough to practice in front of the patent office and to represent other people in front of the patent office. Without that bar certification of the patent bar, you can only represent yourself. You can't represent somebody else at the patent office.
That's right, Summer. And also, you have to qualify to take that patent bar exam. So you need to have a bachelor's degree in some kind of science or engineering in order to even take that patent bar exam.
That's right. That's another question that I sometimes have, or sometimes people are surprised. We'll have some clients who are engineers and they're like, yeah, this is really complicated. And I'm like, that's what we work on. We're qualified to work on complicated technologies. And then I tell them I used to be an engineer, and they're always surprised. They're like, what? Really? You're an engineer? I'm like, yeah, every patent attorney or patent agent used to be an engineer or has some kind of a science background, like you said. So that's one of the prerequisites or requirements to be in front of the patent bar, to practice in front of the patent bar.
Right. So, yeah, as a patent agent, I can write patent applications. I can correspond with the patent office on behalf of my clients. I can't go to court. I can't do licensing agreements, things like that. What are some other things, Summer, that patent attorneys can do, but patent agents can't do?
Yeah, everything that's at the intersection of the law and the patent office are things that a patent attorney can do. I think if you need any representation in front of the patent office strictly, a patent agent can do those things, and a patent attorney can do those things too. But anything outside of the patent office, typically only a patent attorney can do. So if you need to license your patent, like you said, Jamie, or if you need to enter into some kind of a contract, or if you need to take on investors to fund the patent process, or if you need to sue somebody on your patent application or send a cease and desist letter to get somebody to stop infringing on your patent, all of those things are something that a patent attorney can practice exclusively relative to a patent agent.
And since a patent attorney has more education and more expertise, patent attorneys are generally more expensive than patent agents. As with anything, I think it depends on the amount of experience that particular agent or attorney has. But I think that's another distinction between the agents and the attorneys. An agent can pretty much just do things on your behalf when it comes to the patent office. I think that about covers it. Can you think of anything else, Summer?
No, I think that does too. Although I will say this, that I've seen patent agents whose billing rates are just as high as patent attorneys. And I've seen some patent attorneys whose billing rates are lower than patent agents. So a lot of it comes down to experience and the market that they're in. It is very interesting how the billing dichotomy comes into play, because I think that's one of the reasons people who call our office asking if we're patent agents or patent attorneys, because I think in their head, they're equating it to cost, but it's not necessarily always correlated. Although I think generally you're right, attorneys are usually more expensive than agents. I guess one more point of clarification, Jamie. Some people may be wondering, what about appeals and more kind of legal sounding action items at the patent office? Can a patent agent handle those? Should they be worried about working with a patent agent if they think they may want to appeal the case down the road to the PTAB or to other appealing bodies at the patent office and beyond?
Yeah, that's a great question. Appealing the decision on your patent application is a part of the patent prosecution journey. Yes, I do appeal briefs all the time. That's something that takes place before the USPTO. That's a part of the USPTO, and your application is still within the purview of the USPTO. So yes, I do appeal briefs all the time.
I think you do a great job on those appeals, and you're more than qualified to do those appeals. What about inter partes review, IPRs, and things like that? I think you are able to do some of that work, but I think at that stage, you really need an attorney to step in and process things that happen after a patent issues. Is that a fair characterization, Jamie?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a great piece of advice, to get an attorney involved at that point. That's probably a little more complicated than what most patent agents would deal with, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to think about it. The other thing that I always think about is strategy, right? How does the patent interact with the broader world? How can we maximize valuation or envelope of coverage and things like that? I think a patent agent and a patent attorney can do those things, but if they interact with other legal models outside of the patent, I think an attorney might be better suited for some of those things, especially if they need to be wrapped up in agreements and things like that. I think that's probably the main distinction.
That's a great point as well. Yeah, I think we've covered everything on this topic. Patent attorneys versus patent agents. We've covered the main differences and similarities between the two.
There you go. Another topic or myths dispelled. Hopefully we've addressed it. But if we missed anything, let us know. Shoot us an email or send us a message on the podcasting show notes, and we'd be happy to address them.
Absolutely. Okay, Summer, I'll talk to you next time.
Yeah. Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Patent Pending Made Simple podcast. I hope you enjoyed our show. If you'd like to receive updates, view the show notes, or access a direct link to any resource, go to the episodes page on patentpendingmadesimple.com. To help others find our podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks again for tuning in. I look forward to having you with us next time on Patent Pending Made Simple. This podcast has been hosted by Outlier Patent Attorneys and is not intended to, nor does it create, the attorney-client privilege between our hosts guest, or any listener for any reason. The content of this podcast should not be interpreted as legal advice. All thoughts and opinions expressed herein are only those from which they came.